Hey, what's up, everyone? It's me, Matt from Diazable. I'm here doing another album review, and today we're checking out the new album from Harm's Way, Common Suffering. This album just released here in September of 2023. There's been a 5-year gap, I think, between their last album, Post-Human, and this album. And for those who don't know, Harm's Way is a hardcore, early in their career, power violence, but now more industrial hardcore band from Chicago, Illinois. They've been around since about mid 2000s. They put out about 5 records, 4 or 5 records with like 2 EPs. They've had a genre change over the years with being early power violence to like beat down hardcore to now this more industrial, refined sound in their new album. And I would say the best way to describe this album, I feel a good word to really summarize this album up pretty well before getting into this review: juggernaut. It's a big, heavy, and like impactful album that I think a lot of people have been waiting for, and what Harm's Way has been really crafting over the years. And it's led them to this album, which I think after such a long wait with Corona delaying a lot of things and then putting something out, there was going to be a bit of a like make them or break them moment with this album because it's been so long and they've been in the game for a while. And I think they're already doing pretty good with the momentum they had, but like, oh, they've lost momentum because of the pandemic and other things. And I think people might have been thinking, maybe not. Could they still bring it? And I definitely feel like it was brought here on this album. So let's do a deep dive, track by track play down of this album, Common Suffering from Harm's Way. Starting this album off, we had the lead single, Silent Wolf. It has a soft and creepy opening, and then once that's over, it goes right into a barrage of heavy drums and slick riffs. Overall, the riffs from the guitars are very mesmerizing here. The vocals, they're very good, like always. James is really bringing his heavy, gritty vocals that he does. And it's a very headbanging track. It's a good starting track for this album. And as the song kind of goes along, it like fades out with a echoey and light vocals. And I think it just summarizes the song and the feel very quickly in this song.
Even when you're gone, I'll tell them my religion's you and punctures.
Next, we have Denial, which is a very certified banger, I think. Sounds very like Harm's Way, but more with like an industrial sound to it. The guitar tuning on here and the riffs are fucking sick. They're great. The backing gang vocals add a lot of texture to this song. James sounds on point like always. Bass is rarely heard, but it adds some nice subtlety to the song overall. Drums are kind of pushed to the back, but they are still felt, I feel. And there's just tight writing throughout this whole song. Next, we have Hollow Cry. And this song has a bit of a more of industrial sound to it, especially with the pinch harmonics from the guitars. There's some drowned out vocals here that give some variety to the song. And I think these songs are overall so far sonically heavy and in a different way that makes it very, very distinctive and very noticeable when listening to this album. It's like it got like a 90s rock vibe to it, but a lot heavier. Drums are very specific. Sporadic here. They're like all over the place, but they have a nice groove to it with this song. And the bass at the end of the song really builds up and it sounds really good. That leads into a nice beefy breakdown. Devour, which surprisingly transitions really well from the previous song. Like it's a smooth, slick transition. Has a bit of more faster and upbeat sound compared to the earlier songs. Very, very tight riffs here. Drums are more on the hollow sounding sound than like being snappy. I guess they have like more of is it reverb? I don't know, but they just have a larger and further reach in terms of sounds. They're ringing out more is I guess what I want to say. heavy guitar distortion here, and then out of the blue, like breakdown at the end goes really hard. And with that being said, I want to play a little clip of Devour for you. Yeah, Devour. Then we have Undertow, which was one of the singles they put out. And I can see when they put it out as a single, it was kind of hard to feel it out a little bit. But in the overall scheme of the album, it flows very well. More hollow drums here and a more of an industrial and 90s sound here, I think. King Woman sounds very divine here. Her feature is utilized very well, I think. And then like James comes in and just crushes it in the best way. Um, and then they go back and forth and everything with the brooding and like down and out feeling. Uh, Kind of gives a feeling of like mentally going down a drain of despair. And I think they're able to like capture that feeling of despair if that's what they were going for in this song. That's what it feels like. Then we have Heaven's Call, lighter sounding sound in the opening. Maybe it's from the guitars. I don't know, but it just has a bit of a lighter opening. Drums are a bit more prominent here on this track. There's a nice double kick with like gives very grunge vibes and everything. And the drums seem a little bit, I want to say distorted. They seem a little wonky, but in like an interesting way. James' vocals just ripping through this track. He sounds great. The breakdown is very nasty and it adds a lot of dirtiness to it with the bass going along with it. These songs seem to be more focused and flow together in terms of style. That's one thing I've noticed about this album so far. It's really a well-paced and well structured album. Yes. Then we lead into the song Cyanide, which I think might be the best track on this album because not wasting the breakdown from the last song, that momentum, they keep it going. This song just breaks it off in your ass off the get-go. Tight and short guitar strumming riffs with their signature long, drown-out guitar mutes they do. If that makes sense to you, if I'm describing this, just from what my head, what I think it sounds like. And then they have some nice bass slapping up in here. It's just very nice. The bass is getting a lot of play in this later half of this album. James' vocals sound great again. Like he's just crushing it on this album. Snares coming in very clear and crisp here, just cutting right through to the song. And the lyrics are just simple and good, which makes me want to play a small clip for y'all. See, that bass just really comes in. Terrorizer, which I think for this album and this song is giving me proof that they're giving a lot of time to the bass and letting it get some time to grow and just have its time in the sun because they're just utilizing the bass very well. More of a laid-back song that reminds me of like Temptation from the previous album. If they had like a part 2 Temptation, this is kind of it. It's weirdly mixed and spacey sounding. Like you're waiting for the song to kick in at some point, but it never really does. But there's some haunting female vocals in the back that add some in more of that slowed down industrial vibe to it. This is probably the most interesting song on the track in terms of how sonically different it sounds. But I think that it might be the most divided song. I think people are either gonna love it or hate it. I wasn't too sure if I liked it or not. The pacing, I would say slow down the pacing of the album, but it threw me off a little bit. But this is all from just a first listen. If I go back, maybe it'd be different, but for at the time, it did seem a bit off for me. Then we have Sadist Guilt. Very, very, very interesting lyrics. Slow guitar buildup with some like barbaric chants from James and stuff. And then it goes into like a fast tempo, upbeat, heavy song. The guitar riffs the scaling on the guitars are very noticeable and quite impressive. The drum beatdowns before the breakdown, very nice. And again, the lyrics, very tight, very, very impressive. And the final track on this album, which I think shows a lot of diversity and growth in terms of Harm's Way is Wanderer. Slow and crawl opening with the drums, bass, and guitar. They're really giving it some time to grow here. And then we get some clean vocals, which I'm surprised, but they sound really, really good. Slow burn of a song, strong 90s, like Alice in Chains vibes. Very enlightening song with the lyrics and everything. Kudos, very impressive. It feels like you're searching deep within yourself to figure yourself out, I feel. And with that being said, here's a little clip of Wanderer. So yeah, Wanderer, check it out. So that is my thoughts and views on this new album from Harm's Way, Common Suffering. They have crafted a very uniquely 90s grudge industrial hardcore of a beast album, because there's a lot of different styles here, different kinds of genres, and they play around with their sound a lot. And I think they use this catchphrase a lot, evolve, not change, because it is still very Harm's Way, but in a new direction and with a little like tweaks here and there, but it's still at the core feels like Harm's Way with the heavy like vocals, the sharp drumming, the very, very like industrial. They've always had like an industrial sound, guitar sound and everything, giving the bass more time to get some limelight and shine on here was very impressive. And then the introduction of using slower songs, some clean vocals, bringing in guest vocalists like King Woman to add some nice variety to the overall atmosphere for this album. Yeah, I think the most impressive thing about this album was just how they're able to craft all these different genres and styles and make everything like they weave it together very seamlessly. Like it all just plays together very well, and there's good pacing here. So they're really good at pacing their albums, I think, and crafting their sound. Production really good and everything. I think the only thing that was decisive for me was the song Terrorizer. Still don't know where to put my finger on it, whether I liked it or disliked it. Very middle ground on that one. But yeah, overall, I think this is a wonderful album that people have been waiting for a long time from the Harm's Way camp. And with that being said, I think this album, Common Suffering from Harm's Way, is a very solid 9 out of 10. Yeah, so that was my review of the new Harm's Way album, Common Suffering. Thanks for coming on by. Check the links down below. Support your scene and everything. Check these guys out and everything. And until next time, bye.